Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Luke from Astro Awakening, and in this video, I'm going to be discussing all things Pluto in Capricorn for its final transit from September to November this year. Pluto has been moving in and out of Capricorn and Aquarius now since 2023, and now we have the final transit of Pluto in Capricorn across the 29th degree before it leaves Capricorn around December this year and won't return again for any of our lifetimes, another 250 odd years before Pluto will be back into Capricorn. So we want to look at this transit from two points of view, from a collective perspective, from the big picture. What are the lessons we've been learning and what can we sort of take from 2008 to now and what we've been through as a collective? There's some big world events that have happened in that time, and they sort of correspond to a lot of this plutonic energy as it's going through the sign of Capricorn. And then I want to look at it from a personal point of view. So to help those out there that this transit may be impacting you, and it's not everyone. In fact, it's probably only about 10% of people that this transit specifically is going to be impacting them. Even if you're a Capricorn, even if you're a Cancerian, even if you're one of the cardinal signs, this transit may not necessarily be personal at all. And maybe some of the themes of Pluto and Capricorn you've already worked through in the last 15 or 16 years. So they're not really coming up for you. So the way to understand that is to look at this transit into connection to a couple of things, specific planets within your birth chart, suns at specific birth times, and also those born during particular times. So in the early 70s and early 80s, where Pluto was around that time, and how this Pluto transit is going to impact on your natal Pluto. So when we think from a personal point of view, we always want to take the cosmic and we want to bring it into the personal. And the only way to do that is to align the cosmic through the birth chart. We all have a unique birth chart. It's a map of the sky at the time of your birth. It's your intergalactic, energetic soul blueprint. And no two birth charts are the same. Even identical twins have different subtleties within their birth charts, within certain degrees, because they're born at different times. So what we want to look at in your birth chart is this specific moment you came into this earth, on the day and date and the location. And then we can then look at the cosmic weather that we're moving through at the moment that we call transits, and how that connects or doesn't to your unique blueprint. Because for the vast majority of people, it's not going to connect unless you've got something significant around 29 degrees of the cardinal sign. This Pluto transit is not going to be personal whatsoever. It may be going on around you and outside of you and in the world, but personally, in your life path and your life journey, the themes might not be relevant at all. So we have to address that. I'm going to do that towards the second half of this video. But to begin with, let's look at 2008 till now, Pluto going through Capricorn. Capricorn is the sign of responsibility, authority, control, right? Capricorn rules over the systems within our society that govern and administer control. So banking and financial and health. We look at the government as well. It's very Capricornian because it deals with the boundaries that create foundation for our society to function. But we've also seen the extremes with Pluto through Capricorn. And when Pluto first moved in Capricorn in 2008, what was brought to light was all of the rot within the financial industry around the subprime mortgages, and that caused the collapse of the banking system, which was the global financial crisis from 2008 to 2010. So it's interesting to point out that Pluto in Capricorn didn't cause the financial collapse or crisis. What Pluto in Capricorn indicated was a lot of the rot that was in the foundation of these systems, that these systems were built on, these financial systems were built on a lot of rot, and Pluto indicated that that would come to light. And when it did, created the collapse. It's like the house of cards. What's it built on? Built on moving sand, and then the next thing, the whole thing comes down. So Pluto isn't the cause of these things. The cause is long before Pluto comes into Capricorn. You know, it's people getting a little bit overzealous and over greedy, and that's that Pluto in Sagittarius. And Sagittarius is the sign of expansion or growth and more of a good thing. And how can we hide Pluto? Some of the ways in which we are growing and expanding. Well, a lot of that energy that was going on before Pluto entered into Capricorn was going on for some time. Pluto into Capricorn indicated that a lot of the stuff that was in the foundation of these things was going to come to light because Pluto brings things to light. He's the Lord of the underworld, and sometimes the gates of hell are opened. And when they are, it's like, ooh, we don't like what we see because it's quite confronting because that stuff, we'd like to keep it out of our collective view, hidden below the level of consciousness. But when we become a little bit naive to what's hidden below the level of consciousness, and we hand over a little bit of authority and control to others, with Pluto and Capricorn, that can be taken to an extreme. And let's look at towards the end of Pluto's transit through Capricorn, and most importantly, what was going on from 2020 to 2021. As Pluto was in Capricorn and making a conjunction to Saturn, the Lord, the God of Capricorn, coming into an alignment with Pluto in Capricorn right at the beginning of 2020. And we all know what happened after that. That was on the 12th, 13th of January of 2020. And it really was a firecracker of a bang of here we are. I remember putting up videos and even doing a live event in the end of 2019 saying 2020 is a year of taking radical personal responsibility. What I didn't put in context with that is reasons why we would need to do that. And we all know the reasons why. But what we can look at from 2020 to 2021 too, in particular, is what happens when fear is used as a mechanism of control by authority. What happens is people hand over their power and control and responsibility. And when collectively we hand over our responsibility and give it into some external system of control, well, look what happened. We had the whole problem, which was a fear-driven event. So extreme fear was pumped into every news outlet, presented by the authority. So when the authority is on the television telling you to be afraid and the reasons why, and it pumped in 24/7, case numbers, lockdowns, all of that stuff, and the fear that was surrounding that, that's the problem. The reaction is we need to take control. We need to lock down. We need to mask up. We need to mandate. We need to stop travel. We need to stop borders. We need to limit and restrict, right? That complete constriction of things taken to an extreme. That's the response. We have the problem or the response, the reaction. And then we moved right through 2020, and it was like in and out of lockdowns and border closures and no travel and all of the things. Everyone had to come home from overseas. It was pandemonium, complete panic that was going on. All these Pan words, Pan, the goat god Pan is the sign Capricorn is associated to the goat god Pan. And the goat god Pan is where we get all our Pan words from. Pandemonium, panic, Pan, the bit that follows that happened in 2020, the so-called one. I have to be mindful of what I say on this channel because you get shadow banned really easily. And in fact, I've had a couple of videos taken down from that period of time, even recently. I'm like, well, this video is from 2020. And it's like, yeah, it goes against community guidelines. And I'm like, okay, all right. But I'm pretty sure no one's really watching anyway, because who goes back to videos from 2020? So be it. But what happened towards the end of 2020 is we had Saturn moving out of Capricorn into Aquarius and meeting Jupiter on the winter solstice in 2020, December 21st, 2020, 0 degrees of Aquarius. We had Saturn and Jupiter conjunction, the grand conjunction. Do you remember that? The grand conjunction. And it began this new period of time that we are just emerging through the dawn of. Okay, and what was interesting that really came to light, Aquarius, fixed air, come into consciousness, was the solution. We've put you in extreme fear. We've done extreme measures to, to maintain control and keep you safe, right? These are all Plutonic themes. Plutonic themes are really deals with extremes. And then we've got the shining light, right? And we all know what that was. That was the pointy thing with the plunger at the end. And that was it. That was heralding the solution. So the problem reaction solution that David Icke talks about, the Hegelian dialectic, was well enforced. And the interesting thing to sort of look back on, and as Pluto moves back into Capricorn, it's a lot about reflecting about this whole time. from a place of maturity and responsibility. We have to not look from a place of victimhood and blame, because that keeps us attached to it and disempowered from it, and keeps those within the positions of power and control and authority in power, control, and authority. And we have to wise up. Okay, all right. So we have to look back and reflect on this. So we had this solution come about, right as Jupiter and Saturn made a conjunction in Aquarius at 0 degrees of Aquarius. And the solution was, we're going to be safe. We're going to be safe from all of this. And that's all we've got to do. And Aquarian, we're all in this together. And if you don't, it doesn't work. We all have to do it. Remember that? Remember how they administered that? The lockstep and unison of this system of control was global in its reach. And it was happening in unison. In fact, like all the governments were singing from the same song sheet. They were all saying the same things at the same specific time. It was well orchestrated. And something like that isn't just comes from nothing. That's not just a on the ad hoc whim, what do we do to this? No, that's a pre-planned thing. This is pre-orchestrated, pre-planned. And what's going on with Pluto and Aquarius, Pluto and Capricorn, is it's bringing to light all of the shadow aspects of government and authority, and to the extent in which they have gone behind our backs and done things out of the view of our awareness into the hell realms, the unseen realms. And from there, they've been colluding and connecting and creating groups to come together to go through this particular process, problem, reaction, solution. We get into the end of 2020. We still have Pluto in Capricorn right through until 2023. But what happened was we had this shift into this air energy, this Aquarian energy. And the 0 degrees of Aquarius, the 0 degrees of Aquarius, it was really well activated during the time of the solution part of this program, is now being activated by Pluto, and it has been since 2023. And what we're seeing now come to light of consciousness, because Pluto brings things from the hell realms, the unseen, the unconscious, into conscious awareness. We're seeing to the extent in which they've gone to. We're seeing to the extent in which all of this was pre-planned and orchestrated, in which the governments and the pharmaceutical industries colluded, organized together, and how they censored and shut down free speech, and how they ostracized, and who did it and how they did it. And it's all coming to light, as it should. As it should. What we're going to see probably at the end of this year is Pluto comes out of Cap and into Aquarius as Mars, the god of war, right, opposes from Leo and Cancer. We're probably going to see a lot of the responses to a lot of this energy and stuff coming to light. And you might see a lot of people in positions of power, Leo, falling. Okay, you might see them falling, you might see them running, you might see them being caught up in, the repercussions of their actions. Because, and I said this in 2020, with the energetics of what was happening in 2020 and the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction happening on the winter solstice, and, Saturn deals in karma. What goes around comes around. You reap what you sow. So if they thought that they could keep this hidden and concealed and they could get away with it, they got another thing coming. And as Pluto now dips back into Capricorn, we're sort of getting this opportunity to look back from a place of awareness, authority, control, responsibility, maturity, go, yeah, we know what you fucking did. We know what you did. So the response to that is going to be censorship, which is what they're working so hard to do right now, is to censor. And they're going to use the immigration and the race and the religious division as their front or their cover in order to administer their censorship. But too little, too late, because you have an awakened humanity. Do not believe what the media tells you about the world and what's going on. Far more people, way in the majority, are people a little bit more consciously aware. Yeah, you still got some of the fringe and the extremes that are still like masked up and waiting for the monkeypox, pointy end. But the vast majority of people are like, you motherfuckers. We all have a device now. We all have social media. We all have the reels. We have the TikToks. We have people. We have the citizen journalism. which is overtaking the mainstream journalism, the controlled, monopolized, corporatized control of information that's being done through our corrupted media. So we, the people, are the media now. This is part of this journey of awakening. Now, as we do, we've got to take responsibility. We've got to look at it from the eyes of maturity and go, okay, what are we learning from that? What we learn from Pluto and Capricorn is what happens at an extreme level when fear is used as a mechanism to administer, insecurity and control by external authority. And the reason that can happen is that collectively we handed over that based on fear and the need for security. Save me, someone save me. Okay. Now that mindset keeps us collectively in the age of Pisces, looking for what? A savior. So we, at the end of this little period, have learned, okay, if we want to evolve, if we want to awaken into the age of Aquarius, into the age of humanity, of the collective coming together and uniting of the individuals, us, the people, then we have to take personal responsibility. And that is the collective lesson that we've learned around Pluto and Capricorn is that you have to take responsibility 100% for all aspects of your life, your health, your well-being, your reality. The fact of the matter is you are creating your reality. It's just that you've been, you know, convinced that you're not. Someone else's control because you turn the TV on and look, the government and the media, and this is the story that we're being told in the narrative, and it's just a narrative. It's just a story. It doesn't become real unless we believe it into reality. So the lessons are look back and let's not make that same mistake again. So let's move on to the second part of this, which is applying this transit to you personally. When you're going through a Pluto transit in your own life, you're dealing with something on a really intense emotional level. And it's usually going to be around a desire or a lack of desire, where you're getting something you want, or you're not getting something you want, or you want something you haven't got. And this intense sort of energy of desire that rumbles from deep within. As that impacts you, then whatever aspect of life this is connected to, you can sort of have one of two things. You can be like complete disconnection and a loss of personal desire. It's like, I don't want this anymore. And that could be a relationship, could be a career where you just go, I have no desire for this. What am I doing here? You know? And what can happen as well is that there can be this desire that emerges that's for something different completely. It's like, I'm not getting what I want here. And then all of a sudden over here is something that I want. And you can look towards another or a work or a situation where you go, that's what I want. And this isn't what I want. And then the disconnection that can happen is the dissatisfaction that you get with your current reality. But Pluto happens to sort of impact us over a long period of time. It's like a slow build of pressure and intensity and change that happens from within first before there's the outer world impact. Why this is happening is because you're not in alignment to what your soul wants. Your human self, your ego self, has created a reality for you to live in that your soul is like, I don't fucking want this. This isn't what we want. And maybe because you were being conditioned or you believe that's what you did want, or you were asleep when you created that reality, and now you're awakening, you then have to go about the changes to that. And this is about taking responsibility and learning how to access personal power is to change. You can change. The challenge is, well, what if it's a career I've invested in? What if I've gone to uni and I've spent all this money and time and I've told everyone this is who I am and what I am, and now I'm doing it and I fucking hate it? Oh my God, what's that going to mean? What if it's a relationship and now we're married and we've got kids? But I don't want to be in this relationship anymore. Well, that's hard. The change then creates this crisis or moment of crisis where what we do tend to do is we resist that change and transformation because we're afraid. It's like the ultimate death and rebirth. And that's where Pluto will always lead us to an irrevocable change where something must be died so that something new can be born out of it. This sort of rising out of the ashes, and what's burnt away, what crumbles away, what falls away is what is not aligned at the core. So when you're under the impact of a Pluto transit, you have to confront your deepest truth. And that is the path that will set you free. And what your deepest truth is actually the path that's going to liberate you and move you and your reality and those within it towards more of what's in alignment. The problem is, it's not your responsibility to have to justify that to anyone. You just have to align to it. You have to accept it at a deep level. And then you have to be brave enough to stand on the precipice of the unknown and go, you know what? I just have to trust that what is right for me is right for everyone. Whether they see that at a time or not, it's not up for you to sort of make them or show them or help them. It's just to trust it's the right thing. And there are ways to go about this, and there are ways not to go about this. But the truth shall set you free. If you're under a Pluto transit, the truth shall set you free. The repression of your truth during a Pluto transit will create instability and drama and manipulation and coercion and control and disaster. And ultimately, it'll lead to the reconciliation of that energy through a crisis point that will resolve with you in the same place. So you don't want to go there. I've been there. It sucks. You want to take the high road and just trust that, hey, this is how I feel. This is what's right for me. If that means it's something long term, Pluto and Capricorn, something long term, something foundational has to come to its end or it's no longer aligned, okay, that sucks. That's hard. You might need help and support to get through that. You're not on your own and you can do it with the support of others. Probably not those really, really, really close to you. Because the people really close to you, they have their own, prejudice, bias, and judgment, and they mean well, but the path to hell is paved with the good intentions of others. So this is going to be one of those situations where you look outside of your personal circle to sort of go, shit, I got this stuff I'm going through. Problem shared is a problem halved. And sometimes it's just about talking about it and actually confronting it. That might even be the first step where you just get into confrontation with the truth and be honest with yourself and do a little bit of honest soul searching, and maybe do some journaling or take some time out or speak to a therapist or a counselor or someone like myself that can sort of help you and encourage you to sort of go, you're not crazy. During a Pluto transit, it can feel like you're going crazy. And if you bring to light too quickly some of the things that are changing from deep within, people might think you're crazy. They might call you crazy. You might feel like they're like, what the fuck's going on with you? And the only thing is going on with you is you're changing. You're changing at a deep core level. And what's happened as the ego self, the human self, has just slipped out of alignment to the soul. And the soul is sort of ringing you back, calling you back in, pulling you back in. The soul will win. When you transition out of this body and into the afterlife, it's because the soul has chosen for you to leave. Whether the ego or the human self wants to go or not, the soul will always win. When we find alignment, empowerment, flow, ease, purpose, and fulfillment in our life is when we align the human to the soul and let go and trust, right? And it takes a huge plutonic amount of trust in yourself that what is right for you and just to trust with what's going on for you at a deep level. In the early stages, if you're struggling to come to terms with it because it's new and it's uncertain and you're not sure, then you seek guidance. You get clarity. Your birth chart is going to really help illuminate specifically where this is impacting you and what part of your life. And this is what I deal with it a lot with people is when they're going through an awakening or a deep transformational period of their life is helping them, guide them and say them, you're not crazy and let's do this and you've got it. And their chart or your chart can help you do just that. So what I want to help you sort of understand right now is the people that may be experiencing the last sort of, as Pluto's in Capricorn at the 29th degree, the people that are sort of experiencing this or likely to be going through this experience. And there's a couple of groups of people. Those people born in the early 70s have Pluto at the very late stages of Virgo or early stages of Libra. And they are people born September 71 to November 71 and March 72 to September 72. So if that's you, you're going to have Pluto at either the last degree of Virgo or the start of Libra. And this transit is creating a trine. Pluto trine Pluto, this is swift, quick transformation. This is empowering. This is like, wow, all that work that you've been doing over the last decade or so is like now is where this swift sort of endings and changes and transitions come to. And it may be in relation to, again, where we got to look to specific parts of your chart that has been activated. But also, it could be a health situation that changes for you. It could be a work situation. It could be a relationship, a family situation. It could be, relationships. So, but we would expect that those people with that particular birth dates, or those people born in that birth period, are going through some pretty powerful, swift transformation. The next category of people have Pluto at the very late degrees of Libra or the very early degrees of Scorpio. So 29 degrees of Libra or 0 degrees of Scorpio. And those people are born January 1983 to March 83, October 83 to December 84, and May 84, sorry, to December 83, and May 84 to October 84. So you guys have Pluto at the end of Libra, the beginning of Scorpio, and you're going through a square. Pluto square. Pluto, there's something in your life is causing some deep transformation where there is a disconnect or an unalignment to some part of your life where it's just like, whoa, it's like unavoidable, something out of your control, something, that's going on around you that you're not responsible for, but for whatever reason, that's creating the need for you to change at a deep core level. And again, that's going to be specific depending on what part of your chart you've got your natal Pluto plus what part of your chart that transiting Pluto is going through. And that's going to help to sort of reveal the story. The next group of people are those born, there's Capricorns born on the 20th or 21st of January. So they're the Capricornians on the cusp. The Cancerians born on the 22nd of July or the 23rd of July. They're the cusp of the Cancer Leo. The cusp of Aries, which is the 19th of April and the 20th of April. They're the cusp of Aries and Taurus. And then the cusp of people born, Librans born 22nd of October to the 23rd of October. And they are the Libra Scorpio cusp people. So if you're born on one of those particular dates, then Pluto is either conjunct, opposite, or square to your sun energy. And your sun is very vital because it represents the role and identity you play. So this is a cause of a personal self, the personality, the self changing at a deep level. And depending on which one of those you fall into depends on, to what extent that this change is occurring and whether it's something coming from within, opposing you in a key relationship, or something outside of you that's going on around you that's causing you to change. Maybe a death in the family and all of a sudden you've lost a parent and now you're going through some deep change as a result. The final group of people are those that have any planet or point, so any angle, ascendant, descendant, your midheaven, your IC, at 29 degrees or 0 degrees of any of the cardinal fixed signs. So cardinal signs would be the 29th degree, the fixed signs will be the 0 degree, and anyone that has any personal planet. So we got Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars at 29 degrees of Capricorn, Cancer, Aries, or Libra, or 0 degrees of Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. And those people will be having Pluto conjunct, square, or opposite your particular personal planet. And again, depending on what that planet rules and where it falls in your chart, is depending on what that might mean for you. But again, we're dealing with Pluto. So the themes to sort of understand with Pluto is that the truth shall set you free. You've got to align to it on a deep level. You've got to trust that what is going on deep inside and how you really feel and what you really think, the truth of the matter at its core, when you just suspend it and you let go and you have the courage to confront it, the authenticity, that's the thing. That's the thing that's going to let you go through this transformation. And there'll be a death of the old self associated or attached to the person you were or the reality you created. And you have to make peace with that so that the new, authentic, more aligned, more empowered personal you, connected deeply to the soul's desire, can emerge through. The final thing I'm going to leave you with in this video is the Sabian symbol for the 29th degree of Capricorn. In context to, since 2020, to now, in particular with what happened in 2020, 2021, problem reaction solution, everything that was going through before in relation to the government's use of fear as a mechanism of control to maintain authority. Okay. So this is the Sabian symbol for that degree, and it is a secret business conference. And again, I use James Burgess' Sabian symbols analysis. I really, really like it. It's really fantastic. So I'm going to read it to you now, and I'll show it up on the screen for those that are watching the video. Highest level of social influence. Society is structured hierarchically, and there are small groups of people who secretly direct the course of history, accepting the need for high-level management of collective affairs. In the kingdom of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Great power comes when you can see what others do not see. We can grasp opportunity, avoid calamity and inconvenience, influence people, and make sound decisions for ourselves. A group of highly awakened individuals together form the ruling executive power over world affairs, notwithstanding the rise and fall of political fashions, nations, and economic blocs. These can see what the masses do not see. Two sides must exist of this phenomenon. The dark aspect is revealed as a satanic elite that selfishly controls the wealth and laws of the world. There is also a hierarchy of light beings equally powerful, yet focused on keeping open the path to freedom and complete realization. We need to choose which group to offer our attention. On that note, I'm Luke Belk from Astro Awakening. Peace out.